Okay, guys, grab yourself a cup of tea or a coffee or whatever you like to drink and sit back and relax because we are welcoming back to the show Michelle from Shell's Spooky Stories. How are you, Michelle? Thank you for coming
Hi.
back.
Thanks for having me back. I feel honoured.
No, I'm excited to have you back. I'm loving what you're doing. It's awesome. And I think when you were last on Let's Get Freaky, it was episode 210. And I
Hmm.
called the episode Alien in the Garden
Yeah,
because you saw an alien in the garden, and that
I
was
did.
really cool. Um, and I don't know if you'd started Shell Spooky Stories at that point. I don't think you had. I think you was like
No,
a week away from doing it, or two
yeah, I
weeks.
think I literally like just recorded a couple and was about to launch like the week after we recorded, I think.
Hmm.
God, feels like forever
And
ago.
it goes quick, but
It
then when you look
does.
back, it's like, wow, so much has happened.
Yeah, I'm not even on episode 30 yet. It feels like I've been doing it for about 500 years.
But I can tell you're enjoying it. I
I
can
am, yeah, I
tell.
love it.
Yeah. And it's so great, like what you're doing, and it's a great show. And you've
Thank you.
just got that soothing voice as well. You know, when it comes on, it's like,
Yeah, everyone says
welcome.
that, but I don't think my husband feels that way.
He's got you every day. That's probably why.
He watches my videos on mute.
And then you've just got my voice, which I don't know what it is, just some
Oh, I like it as soothing.
gravelly, I don't know.
I think us ladies like a gravelly voice, though.
Wow. Yeah.
You have to look at your stats, see how many men watch you and how
Yeah.
many women watch you.
It does tell because I've recently, because, well, I say recently, I've been on the YouTube now for about a year, whatever it is, putting episodes on.
Mm,
I never started with the YouTube. I wasn't going to do the YouTube at first, but everyone was saying, like, are you on YouTube? And I was like, let's go, let's get on YouTube and
yeah.
put the videos out. But I think YouTube does tell you, like, if more men or women watch
Yeah, it
you and
does.
stuff.
Yeah. You can find out quite a lot from the
Yeah.
old analytics.
I don't know if I want to
It's interesting.
know.
Tom tells me. I
Yeah.
just sit and go, oh, okay.
I need to try and look. It has come up on like by email once or something, and I saw it and I was like, okay, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
It's pretty interesting
yeah.
just to see who's paying
We want
attention.
everyone to listen. Everyone should be
We
listening.
do.
Come on,
Yeah.
come on. So since last time we spoke, which was okay, what month we're in? We're in May. So it was. Oh, my maths is terrible. It was like
Must have been October because,
October time.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
so it's been
started the 30th of October was my first.
okay.
Um, yeah, because I did the first episode on Halloween, naturally.
Yes. What a time to start.
I
Yeah.
know.
So have you had any paranormal experiences since we last spoke on the show?
Yeah, quite a few.
Oh, let's go. Let's go. What's been happening?
Well, I think the most prominent one that I've had recently, because I think last time we spoke, I was explaining to you about when I was a kid and how I used to see spirits, and I couldn't really tell the difference between them or another human. Um, they just looked exactly the same to me, and I used to hear them, used to see them, I could smell things, and all the rest of it. Um, I haven't properly heard anyone for, I'd say, probably a good couple of years. I sometimes get weird audio things where I'm like dozing off to sleep and my head's on the pillow, and then I'll hear something that sounds like it's shouting from the actual ear that the
Yes.
pillow's on, and I'll be like, okay. Or I'll think my husband said something, I'll be like, start talking to him, and he's like, what are you talking about? I didn't say anything. Go back to sleep. And I'm like, what? So I haven't heard anything audible for like a long time. And it must have been a couple, I think last month it was, we went to the Air Museum in Sunderland, and we were in the main hangar. It was a really small group of us. There was about five of us, I think, five or six of us. Usually there's a hell of a lot more, and we're all in different hangars, and it's like a big jolly for all of us. But there was only a few of us, so we thought it'd be interesting to see the difference between a big team and like a small team as to how we get interactions. And I went into, they've got this old like passenger airplane that you can go in, and it's got a couple of double seats, the pilot thing's open so you can see all the gadgets, and then you got some single seats down one side, so everyone else was at the front of the plane by the pilot's area, and I was sat right at the back just to see whether we could get anything, and I was filming on my TikTok, I think I was. So I was live on that and filming everyone from the back, and I was sat on this little single plane right at the back in the dark by myself, and I thought, this is a stupid idea, but hey ho, here we are. So you can hear me on the live, and I say like, hi everyone, thanks for joining. And then I heard the loudest, and I can't explain how loud this was, uh, down the side. And that side of my head was literally the plane and a window, like the plane window. And I was like, what was that? And I even said out loud, I was like, I'm sorry, did no one else just hear that? Because we just carried on like nothing had happened. But it was so loud, I was convinced there was no way that they could have not heard that. And they were like, no, what did you hear? And I was like, I heard someone like breathe down my ear. And they were like, no, we didn't hear anything. But honestly, it was so loud. I just can't even express how loud it is.
Did you send that to me? I think you did send that to me, didn't you? I heard that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
everyone on the live didn't hear it either, because I asked them and they were like, no, we didn't hear anything. But
It,
luckily, when I played it back, I clipped it and you can hear the me talk and then somebody go,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, because I remember definitely saying to you, I heard that as well. That was
yeah.
weird.
But I
Because
don't know if it was
wasn't the
worse when you
phone
play it back.
the phone was quite far back from you though, wasn't it? If that's
It was, I think it was a fair bit in front of me. I had it like on a tripod stand.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like right next to you.
No.
So that just shows you how loud that was then. If the
Yeah.
phone's picked it up
Mm,
and you've obviously heard it louder than the phone's heard it, but
yeah.
wow.
It was really creepy.
Interesting. Yeah.
Really creepy. But I was like, that's probably like one of the most amazing things I've had recently.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
where were we? We went to Armley Mills in Leeds recently. That was a couple of weeks ago. That was a very interesting place. There was us and a few other teams from like other paranormal groups. Um, and we all split up into our teams and went round the place. And it's got such an interesting, like, eerie feel. There are a few places where I really didn't want to be left alone. Liam, as always, was like, oh, Michelle, can you go down there into the, down the stairs in the dark corridor, all the way down to the cinema room and get the other team and tell them to leave? And I was like, no. Mike, can you come with me? And I'll go down and tell them. I was like, I'm not walking there by myself. No way. Not on this earth. Because we'd been right down to, it was like a few different levels. They had like the room where there was massive, I don't know, cotton machines that they used to use. And then you go down a level and they had like a weird cinema room, which I think they show like the old factory videos. And then underneath that was like this big stone room, like big arches. And it was really cold and really heavy, like really heavy energy. We started investigating, and then Liam started feeling really sick, like something had like proper punched him in the stomach, and he was feeling really bad. So I put my hands on his shoulder and started trying to recite the Lord's Prayer. Funny enough, I couldn't remember any of it when I needed to, and I was like, oh. So I was trying to do my best there to help him, because we didn't have any mediums with us. So, and I don't really call myself a medium. I don't know what I am. I just do what I do, and that's
Hmm.
it.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't really label it. So I was just trying to help him in any way that I could. And then someone who was filming us in front said she saw a dark shadow go from Liam to Mike. And that minute, Mike plummeted to the floor. Like, literally, you see someone else was filming him and he looks behind him and then literally just went boom on the floor. So
Whoa.
it was like someone had come up behind him, he'd seen it or felt it, turned around and then crashed. So
Whoa.
that was crazy.
Yeah. Well, this paranormal investigating is dangerous, man.
It is, yeah.
This is
The worst bit was he was right near the metal like barrier, so he could have easily cracked his head on there, but luckily he didn't. But he
yeah.
proper hit the
Was
ground
he
really
okay?
hard.
How long was he
He
out for?
was, yeah, yeah. I think it was like, I don't know. He kind of hit the ground and then started like making a noise. So we, like, all the guys kind of went and got him and took him out, and then he kind of felt a
Man.
bit better once he was out of the area.
Yeah. I mean, is there any like 'cause for the skeptics, is there any
Mm.
logical explanation why that could have happened? Like, was he feeling unwell, or was it just out of the blue, which you see
It
so
was
often?
kind of out of the blue because he was fine the whole of the rest of the time.
Hmm.
He was absolutely, I mean, he was there with a camera and filming everything, and he'd been all right
So
for,
weird.
yeah, it was just, I mean, I didn't catch too much of it other than just hearing him plummet to the ground because it was like on my left side and I was busy focusing on Liam.
Hmm.
And then I just heard everyone go like, Mike.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
oh, bloody hell.
man. Well, Mike and Liam have both been on Let's Get Freaky.
They have, yeah.
New Dawn Paranormal,
Hmm.
and two cool dudes. I know you've got a big team.
Yeah,
Liam
we have, yeah.
very often invites me to come, and I will definitely come at some point.
You have
I
to.
would love to. I would love to, even though I'm petrified. You know, I've had all these experiences, but it
Yeah.
still scares me, especially when I don't know when you know you're going into that environment to
Hmm.
call this stuff on.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've never really called anything on. You know, I've never invited, even though I guess doing a podcast, you're inviting it because you're looking
Talking
into
about it,
it.
yeah.
And once,
Yeah.
as we've said before, once you look into it, it looks back.
Hmm.
But I don't ever want to invite it.
Yeah.
But
I know what you mean, yeah. I thought the same thing, but I think I approach it very differently to how some of the others do because I know that some of the others will try and like get reactions and
hmm,
they'll do like trigger things to get that a reaction, which is fine. Everyone each to their own. And I'm always there if it goes wrong. But for me, I think I'm on a bit of a different journey with it where I always go in and like introduce myself. I tell them I'm here with respect. I ask them that I want respect back. I
hmm.
tell them that they don't have permission to touch anyone or hurt anyone. Um, that we're just here to like learn their story. Um, and I always find it quite funny because what the groups I'm in, when I do that and open up to wherever we are, you always get things on Spirit Talker like, you are kind, you are respectful. And I'm
They
like,
know.
it's the energy you put out, you get it
Hmm.
back.
Yeah. And I think that's right with with everything in life. Like your energy is so important. Like
Hmm.
even not even with like the spiritual side, even like with like your job.
Yeah.
You'll when you meet someone at work that is like really bad energy, constantly moaning, constantly uh talking about other people. You know,
Hmm.
people like that. I know we all have our moments where we can moan. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
I moan sometimes.
Especially
We
being
all do.
British.
Yeah, exactly. We have to. It's
It's
like
part
in
of the
our
culture.
DNA. We have to moan. If it's sunny, we moan. If it's rainy, we moan. If it's
Yeah.
in the middle, we moan.
Yeah.
But
Bit of a
but
happy.
you do get people that like that just for whatever reason it's probably because they're not happy and that's sad. But they're
Yeah.
like they're just always moaning, always negative, and you
Hmm.
can feel that energy. Like and
Yeah.
it's you know.
I think that's how I approach it. Like it's the same with living people as it is with dead people.
Hmm.
And I was talking to someone about this recently, about moving spirits on. And when you go into a place and you think things are evil, um, that maybe it isn't necessarily evil. Like you could walk into a house. Like I've worked in care homes and always been told, like someone like, "Oh, he's a right grumpy old man. You know, don't bother with him. Like, be careful with him," kind of thing. And then you go in, I approach him like I'd want to be approached, and just hello, morning, how are you, how are you feeling today, etc.,
Hmm.
etc. And sometimes he'll be in a bad mood and he'll be like, ugh. But other times he'll start telling you about his story, and then you can hear about what's happened to him during his life,
Hmm.
and then you can understand why he's moody, why he's
Yeah.
grumpy. Like if
Yeah.
you've lost all your family, you'd be grumpy.
Hmm.
And I
For
think
sure.
sometimes spirits can be stuck where they're in a home that used to be theirs. They've got memories that were theirs and they were precious memories. But when they died, they couldn't get to the people that they shared those memories with and they're stuck there.
Hmm.
And I think if you kept seeing all these other happy families moving in and being in your space, over time that would build and build and you'd be resentful,
Hmm.
you'd be angry. And I
Yeah.
think it's the same as when you're in a bad mood. If someone else is a bad mood, they make your mood worse and it continues and continues.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's how I approach it.
Yeah. No, that's very true. And people are fighting battles that we can't always see. Obviously, there's
Hmm.
people out there that are they're not happy and they're fighting something inside, and then
Yeah.
yeah. So.
You always have to be a life counsellor as well as a paranormal investigator sometimes, I think.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
start going, oh, how are you? How are you feeling today?
Does your opinion, because as someone now that's immersed in the paranormal, I know you always have been,
Mm,
but does your opinion change on what it is every day? Like, do you just sort of, or are you sort
yeah.
of, what's going on? What's your thoughts?
I don't think we'll ever know what's going on. I think if you think you know what's going on, I mean,
Hmm.
you're probably a little bit mistaken.
Yeah.
Or I think maybe you kind of think what's going on and then something will happen and you'll realize you had no bloody clue. And you're like, okay, so now that makes a bit more sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's a
When.
lot of tricksters in paranormal side of things as well. I've
Hmm.
been on investigations where people are like, oh, it's a kid we're talking to. And because I use my intuition a lot, and I pay attention to like the atmosphere, I'm like, that's no bloody kid. That's not a kid we're talking to. Like, cut communication ASAP. And they're like,
Interesting.
oh no, let's see what's. And I'm like, no, it's not a kid. We're not messing with a kid.
Hmm.
There's no
Is
way that that's a kid.
is that like a feeling you just get, like just a knowing that you can't explain, or what?
Yeah,
What's the?
I. It's really hard to explain because it's I suppose it is a knowing, but I kind of feel it within my whole body. Like it comes from the gut rather than the brain. Um, and I think, I mean, that's what we used to do as humans, isn't it? From day one, it used to be gut before brain because our
Hmm.
brains weren't that developed. But our gut always knew when we were in danger or whether we were safe. And I think as a kid, we have that as well. Like you always get kids with stomach aches, and you're like, well, why have they got a stomach ache? And they're like, because certain things are going on and they're not telling you about it.
Hmm.
Or they're going, oh, I've got a bellyache because they don't want to go to school. Why don't they want to go to school?
Yeah.
Um, but as we get older, I think our brain's like this, and this. This is how you have to do life. This is how you have to do certain things. We kind of forget to listen to our guts. So I've spent a lot of time trying to tune into mine, and that's through developing my own systems through healing through mental health. Um, I mean, I still have mental health issues, but I'm a hell of a lot better than I used to be. And I think that's because I started doing the work and learning about my gut and how to listen to it,
Hmm.
um, and protect myself and all these kind of things. With protecting your energy is a big, big thing.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
You don't
And
want evil people near you. You don't want evil spirits near you.
for sure, 100%. And I think your gut, it doesn't normally let you down.
No.
I mean, you feel that feeling, you get that vibe, and it's normally right, you know.
Yeah.
And as you say, that is like a natural thing that's in all of us. Like
Yeah.
mediumship and people that can have these abilities. I think, as you were saying, it's something that we have all got. I think
Mhm.
everyone's got it.
Yeah.
Some people tune into it a little bit more. Maybe it's something to do with being open to it a little bit more, that you managed to get some more activity or whatever. But I do feel like going back to like the Stone Ages, we probably did have these
Yeah.
abilities that we relied on. If there was a another tribe that was going to attack you, you'd feel it coming, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that is
Uh,
just built in us.
Yeah. And you see it on some like sort of historical TV programs and that, where they've looked into these Stone Age people, and they kind of even say like, I was watching something, I think it was on Netflix, and it was this. They were like pre-Stone Age people, which I didn't even think existed, but you don't know everything until
No, we
somebody
don't.
tells you something different. So,
Yeah, yeah,
and they obviously didn't have the brain capabilities that we have, but they must have been very in tune with the world, because they had made these tunnels. And when somebody died, they had this ritual where they would take the family member and they would take them down into these tunnels and bury them in this like graveyard cave thing. And they would even put like effigies and stuff on the graves.
yeah,
And they would take the same time every year to go visit these graves. Like, how do you know that?
yeah, hundred
How do you
percent,
know what that date is if you haven't got a calendar? It's a gut
100%.
thing.
Yeah, Was that? I think I may have seen that. Was that Neanderthal? I can't even say it.
Yeah.
Neander. Why can't I say it?
I don't
She'll help
know.
me.
It's a hard word.
What's the word? Neanderthals.
Don't get me to say it because that'll
Oh
come out even
no,
worse.
I can't say it.
Neanderthals?
That's it.
Neanderthals? Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Was it a documentary about them?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
because
a guy who's
I
I
saw
think he's
that.
done a few things like alien stuff as well. He goes
Yes.
all over the world.
Yeah, because he was
And
saying like
yeah.
we didn't think that Neanderthal. Oh, I'm not even going to try and say it again. That's ridiculous. But we didn't think that they like buried their dead and
Yeah.
did these type of things. But there's a lot of evidence now to say they did,
Yeah.
and that is very interesting.
Yeah. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Because we don't know.
Fascinating.
We don't know really what happened 300 years ago, let alone
Yeah.
3,000 years ago. Really,
And I
you
mean, if
know?
we had to rely on like just the world to tell us when it was a year since someone passed or something,
Oh,
how would we know
no,
if we
no.
didn't have a calendar?
But maybe that's just because that's how we perceive the world now. That's how we've been brought up for
Yeah.
hundreds of years with a
We've just been
calendar.
told that's what we do.
We don't need to worry about like we've got a
Yeah.
watch on our wrist, you know, on our phones. We don't need
I
to know the
know.
time, really. Even though I still think we get a sense of the time. Do you? Like
I think
if
so.
I haven't looked at my watch or my phone, I can sort of go, I reckon it's about 3 o'clock. And it
Yeah.
normally is around that sort of time. I don't think everyone can do that, but
Yeah. I do that. Yeah. I'm like, oh, about 9:15. My husband's like,
yeah.
oh, you looked at your watch. I'm like, no, I didn't. I go, psychic.
I just know. I just
I know
know.
everything.
But it does sort of seem like we're heading back to the time with like where people maybe be able to communicate telepathically and stuff like that. We're
Mm,
definitely heading towards that, whether it be with AI and like technology that
yeah.
sort of brings us back to that. We're definitely heading that way.
I think so. Definitely. I have a weird telepathic thing with my husband. Like, I always know what he's going to say before he says it. Like, I can almost hear him saying it in my head, and then he'll say it, and I'll be like,
Is that
I
a
knew
good
you were
thing?
going to say that.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Usually like, prepares me for getting in trouble before I get in trouble. So I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, I've got a 2-second head start.
So do you I know when you was growing up you saw a lot, as you said, a lot of entities that were hard
Mhm.
to tell, and it's very interesting because I shared with you my experience where I saw possibly a William Shakespeare looking dude in my bedroom as a
Yeah.
kid,
Yeah.
which I've talked about many times, and he was just as solid as we are right now. You know, it
Mm.
wasn't see through. It was sort of like, I would say, what was quite strange is that I could see color on him. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't say he was glowing, but I could see he wasn't lit up. It's very hard to explain, but I could see color.
Yeah.
So
I
I
know
don't.
what you mean. It's hard to
Yeah,
explain, but I know
it's hard to
exactly what you
explain.
mean.
It wasn't like a glow like when you watch a film and you see a ghost and it's glowing.
Yeah.
It was just like taking someone from the day, I guess, and putting them in a dark room
Yeah.
and as if they've got sunlight on them still, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that does make sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. I think if they were glowing, it'd be so much easier
yeah.
because then you'd be able to
You know,
tell the
it's definitely
difference.
a
I'd be
ghost.
like,
Yeah,
that's a ghost.
yeah. Because
That person's not glowing.
I didn't know. Like, I just thought there was a man in my room.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking. Even though I was always like scared of ghosts and stuff like that, I wasn't thinking ghosts. I was like, there's a man in my room. You know, it
Yeah.
wasn't
Get out.
get out. So do you still see entities today?
um, when I go places, I can see shadows. Like I've had a few things where someone will like pop out behind a plane or a tank or something, and I'll be like, it'll be like a split second thing. Um, I've had a couple where I know somebody's standing there. I'm able to tell you what they look like, tell you what they're wearing, how tall they are, what color hair got. I'll be able to draw them, but I can't see it with my physical eyes. Um, and I can't really see it in my third eye. It's just a knowing that that's what they
Hmm.
look like, which is sometimes really hard to trust. I do sometimes wonder if I'm having like some kind of miniature stroke or something at the time this happens, because it just seems. And I was talking to another girl in our team who's she's a bit like me. She's always had this going on, but she's just getting back into it and trying to figure out what it is that she does. And we were having this chat on Tuesday, and I said, "Do you I said, it's so hard because you think you've made it up. but then you haven't made it up. Like, how do I know that that's like, we had it Tuesday night, we were in this old pub in Amble, and the girls were all upstairs, we were just in this really long corridor. We had Liz, then me, then Charlotte, then Sarah at the bottom. So we'd kind of spanned out, and Liz was talking about what she was getting a vision of in her head, and as she was doing it, I drew what was in my head, and when I showed her, it was exactly what she'd seen in her head.
Whoa.
So I was like, that's wild.
Yeah, that is. But how can you explain that? You
I don't
know,
know.
like that is,
It's weird.
wow. Yeah.
But
I
then
know.
we were also getting things on like the spirit box that said like doctor, because we'd all said he looks like a doctor. And we were getting the name Wilson, which was like the old landlord's name, and
Wow.
1800s where the pub was
Did
built.
you know
And
that? Did you know that was the landlord's name, or did
no,
you
we
look into that?
mentioned it to the landlord when we went downstairs, and she said that's the guy who ran the pub before me.
Wow. Wow.
So we're
See?
like, what?
Yeah. I don't believe in coincidences anymore.
Yeah.
That
No, I
is
don't.
that is wild. Yeah. I
Yeah.
know what you mean though about like it, especially for people like us that have quite a lot of experiences, I would say.
Mm.
It's hard because when you see these things on your own, you can go, am I just going crazy? Like,
Yeah.
oh, am I manifesting this and making myself see this stuff? But I think when you've had an experience. And for me
Mm.
personally, when I have experiences, it's normally when I'm not thinking about anything or
Yeah.
I'm not in the paranormal mind, even though it's probably always there in the subconscious.
Yeah. I don't think we switch off.
Yeah, no. So I had something very recent where, and I think I've talked about it on the show. I've talked about it on the show. I've talked about it on
Mm.
other podcasts where I saw. I'll tell you what happened. So it was a few months ago now. I got into bed and it was like 4 or 5 in the morning, and the room was completely dark, and I laid on the floor, so I didn't get into bed because my kids were in the bed, and I didn't want to wake them up because they were going to
Mm.
school. So I was like, I'll just go on the floor for a couple of hours and make a little camp on the floor. But I was like completely awake. I'd just finished doing something with a podcast, and I was like very awake. I was
Yeah.
buzzing, but I was like, I need to try and go to sleep because it's 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm laying there, and it was like pitch black, and this like about the size of like a pen, say,
Mm.
like golden light just flew around the room, like quite quick, and
Yeah.
I followed it, and I was like, I've just seen a fairy. Like in my mind, like straight away, that was the first thing I thought. And I know I do a paranormal podcast and I talk to people about this stuff all the time, so it is always there. But I was like, I've just seen a fairy. That is mad. That no one's gonna believe that, and it might not be a fairy. I'm not saying it was definitely a fairy, but it was just weird that's what came to my mind. And I guess because
Yeah.
it was golden, like small, I'm thinking Tinkerbell or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to debunk it. So I'm like, okay, let me pick up my phone and just see if I can create a light like that. It wasn't that. It was nothing to do with
Yeah.
my phone. My phone was on the side off. Street lights, no, because we've got quite good curtains that don't let light in.
Hmm.
You don't ever see cars go past. Quite rare that cars go past at that time anyway, but you don't ever see car lights.
Yeah.
So it definitely wasn't a car light. And where I saw the light, there was nothing it could be, unless I've got an issue with my eyes and I've seen a light, which can
Well,
happen.
it
But
can. Yeah.
I don't know if I think if that was the case, I would see that a lot more.
Yeah. You'd probably see it like every now and
Yeah,
again,
it
at
would be.
least.
Yeah. So I don't know. I know that sounds
Yeah.
crazy to people that don't believe in this stuff.
Yeah. It doesn't sound crazy to me.
No.
I always call them little, sounds really weird. I call them little sperm lights that I see because it's always near water. So sometimes when I'm in the shower, I'll see them. Sometimes when I'm running the tap brushing my teeth, I'll see them. If I'm near a river, I'll see them. It's always near water. And I've spoken to a really good medium that I know, and she said that it's something elemental because of
Hmm.
it being near the water. But when I started to see them was just probably after my mum had passed. And they were like, they're probably about this big, like about an inch, 2 inches, but there's loads of them. And they just look like little lights that are just like floating. And because I call them little sperms, because they do that whole thing that, when you see like sperm going into the egg on documentaries or whatever.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they look like. These
Wow.
tiny little lights that are just like moving.
What colour are they?
I would say like probably like LED, like white with gold maybe around.
Interesting.
They're really bright.
When that happens, how long does that last for?
Sometimes it lasts like a couple of minutes. Like they can be there for a pretty long time.
Really?
When I first saw them, I thought I was like just maybe like needed to change my medication or something. I was like having some weird effect. I was like, oh, what's this? And then because I was seeing them so often, I thought there was something like maybe wrong with my eyesight. So I went and got my eyes tested, but there wasn't anything.
Interesting. And would you say that was possibly some sort of sign? Or would it happen? You said it happens by water, which is
Yeah,
quite interesting.
I've only ever seen it one time when it wasn't in water, and that was I started journaling. And I remember I was sitting on my bed like journaling away, and in the corner of my eye, I could just see them like next to me on the bed. And I was like, okay, usually you're near water, so what's going on? I
Yeah.
was like, is there a flood coming through the ceiling soon or something? Is it a warning?
Is there a storm?
Yeah, it was really strange, but I've never seen them not near water since that day.
Interesting.
But I don't know what they are. I mean, I've tried to explain them to her, and she said that sounds like something elemental to me.
Hmm.
But I do not know.
Have you heard anyone else describe the
Uh,
same sort of thing?
no, not really. But then I don't go around saying like, "Do you see these weird little sperm lights?"
Do you see sperm in your eyes?
Yeah, this could be a really weird like subject for the title. I can imagine it now.
That's what I'm calling this episode.
Thumbnail:
The
sperm
sperm
lights.
lights with Michelle. No, it's interesting. It's interesting. And what happens as well, which is you must find this as well, when you put an episode out and someone shares an experience like that, and they go,
Mhm.
"I've never heard anyone else with that experience." Like the
Yeah.
amount of time someone or a few people will reach out and say, "I've experienced that. I've had
Mm.
exactly that same experience."
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's good that we do this because,
I know. I had I think it's terrifying actually. I had an experience by this. I did a TikTok on people that receive phone calls after people have died. And the amount of people that this has happened to is absolutely horrific. So
wow,
many people have said that they've experienced this. I was like, what?
interesting.
It was
Have you
mad.
have you talked to someone that's experienced that?
Loads of people in my comments were like, "Oh, I had this when my uncle died. 2 weeks later, his phoned us, and there was someone whose like phone was even buried with them, because it was like a family joke or something that he was always on his phone. So they put the phone in the grave with them. I can't remember the exact thing, but they basically put it in the coffin with him. And someone in the family received a phone call from him like a couple of weeks after he'd passed away.
Did they check the coffin?
Yeah,
I don't mean to.
excavate.
You've heard that apparently that can happen as well.
Yeah.
Where people come wake up after like 2 days
Yeah,
and
I've done a story on that, and a few
yeah,
people have
I've been
said,
hearing that recently.
yeah. There was one not so long ago, I think in like Mexico, where the woman had had that. I think there was a picture because it was a coffin that had like a glass bit because they, instead of an open casket, they did like a weird glass bit so you could see the person's face.
Yeah,
And apparently she like blinked or something.
I think I saw that.
Yeah.
I think I saw that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I've done a couple of stories where somebody's been in a morgue and woken up while they were like in the morgue in the actual like
Yeah.
freezer.
Oh,
And then another one when they've been buried. Yeah.
that has got to be one of the worst experiences. Can you imagine just
I
waking
know.
up in darkness and like in a box?
Yeah.
Just not. Oh my
Yeah, we
gosh.
never really spoke about like death or that much in my family. Probably because they were
Hmm.
like, she'll just go on about a ghost or something.
Yeah.
But the one thing me and my sister said we were always thankful for is knowing that my mum's like worst fear was waking up in a coffin. So we knew that she wanted to be cremated. We were like, that's the one thing we are definitely sure on.
But so if you buried a phone with your loved one and then you got
Yeah.
a phone, like I think you would have to check.
Oh yeah.
No? No, like you'd have
I
to dig
would.
it up just to
I'd
see.
probably be down there in the graveyard myself. Like,
I know, but no, that just and it's funny because I actually watched. I was scrolling on. It was either TikTok or Instagram, and you just scroll along, and the
yeah.
reels keep coming. And a reel came up today, which is really funny that we're talking about it. And I've not seen anything else on it recently. But Hulk Hogan, the wrestler, the
Mm.
WWF
Yeah,
wrestler,
yeah.
WWE wrestler, was talking about Randy. I think his name's Randy Piper, the old wrestler as well.
Right. Yeah.
Randy Ronnie Piper or something like that. I can't remember his name. I used to love wrestling, so I should know. But he said that when they were wrestlers together, they didn't get on very well. Like they weren't great friends. But then
Mm.
after the wrestling, they both retired and stuff. They like became friends. And Hulk Hogan used to talk to him about religion and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And Rodney died. I think his name's Rodney. I should know this, but he passed away. And then I think Hulk Hogan said about 2 weeks or something like that. He got a voice message from him saying, "Hey, Hulk Hogan." I don't know the exact words, but hey, I'm walking with Jesus on the beach and stuff like that. Apparently, and Hulk Hogan started crying in this reel. So I mean, I obviously you don't know. I don't
Bloody
know,
hell.
but it sounds very interesting.
I would
And that's
see.
Hulk
Part of
Hogan,
me would,
man.
yeah. Part of me would love that, but part of me would probably also be terrified. Like,
Mm,
I could imagine, like, it would be quite triggering. Like,
yeah,
I don't think personally, after my mum had died, two
yeah,
weeks later, if I'd had her phone me and say like, "Oh, I'm with your granddad, and we're having a whiskey. It's all really nice up here," I think I would have like been so triggered that I would have just burst into tears and never picked up my phone again.
yeah.
I think it would just be way too traumatic.
Because you don't know who you're talking to as well. Like you were saying
Yeah.
before, with tricksters. Like how
Mm.
how do you definitely know that you're talking to a loved one and not someone that's
Yeah.
pretending to be the loved one? And that's the other
Yeah. Because I
dark
think
side
it's
of this,
like,
possibly.
yeah. But then I always think that this is the same with human psychology, that you have to trust your gut again. And,
True.
if
Yes.
you got on in a relationship with someone and they started being a bit like weird, you'd be like,
Hmm.
something not quite right about this. Like,
Yeah.
get out. But
Yeah.
then when you meet someone and that person's like for real, you just know, don't you? And you don't
Hmm.
even like question it. But I think it's the same in paranormal. If you start to question something and something feels a bit off,
Hmm.
then trust your gut with it, because I think it's probably
Yeah. That's a
not a
good
nice
point.
thing.
That is a good point. I do feel like you know when something's negative, and you know when
Mm,
it's maybe it's yeah,
yeah.
interesting.
I mean, I'm not saying that I'm never going to be tricked by a spirit. It probably will happen.
Hmm.
And then I'll probably make another good podcast, but
Gives us something to talk about, doesn't
it's all content, as they say.
it? So what else has happened since starting Shell Spooky Stories? Have you had other standout experiences?
Oh, we've been so many places.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember
Do
where
you,
we've been and where
do
we
you get
haven't.
activity in your house?
Um, Not particularly. I mean, I've got a haunted doll. She's literally behind me.
Oh my.
I know.
Why do people do that?
I know. It was my 40th birthday present to myself. I vowed that I never
Oh,
would, but then I saw her and I was like, we're
yeah.
meant to be together.
Fair play. Where is she?
She's
Can we
really
see her?
cute.
Or
Yeah, let me get her. Hang on 2 seconds. I'll drag her over. She'd love that.
I mean, that is one thing I don't think I will ever have in my house, to be honest. I mean, each to
She's
their own. But
she's really cute.
wow. What's her name?
She's Her name's Cherry. She smells really old as well, which I love.
Yeah.
That's really weird, isn't it? Like, she smells really old.
Was she
But
from
she's
like
like,
a thrift store, or where did you get her?
I got her off Etsy. She came with a lovely note, and we've done a few spirit box sessions because apparently she likes that. Um, she apparently likes EVPs as well, but I haven't had anything through that. Um, but yeah, she's a positive spirit because I wasn't going to let anything else in.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
But the weird thing is that when I open up to her and start communicating with her, I'm just going to pop her somewhere where she'll still be in the background chilling out, but
Yeah.
but when I try and communicate with her sometimes, I started getting things about the land here because we're in a new build and everything started. We're on old farmland
Mm-hmm.
right near the sea, and I was getting some really weird things come through that were based about like the land and saying like I'm buried here and all sorts of things. And I was like,
Whoa.
brilliant.
So are you not in the military place that you was before?
No. My husband came out in the military last year, so
Okay.
we bought ourselves our first proper house because we'd been in military housing for far too long.
Yeah.
Um, so we're in our new house now, and yeah, it's built. I've literally got a farmer's field right next to me, and then the sea over there. Um,
Nice.
yeah, it's lovely. But yeah, it was things like I'm buried here, and please help find my body, and like really weird stuff like that.
Have you
And
have
I was
you
like, I'm not sure that's the doll.
yeah, yeah. Have you checked like where they say they're buried?
No, I haven't particularly asked because I think, to be honest, I got a little bit freaked out. I was a bit like, that's not what she should be saying. Like, what the hell's underneath
Yeah.
this house
Yeah, I don't blame you.
or around this house? But I think I will probably like look into it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Just maybe not now. I was like, don't ruin my nice new house.
So you haven't, as of yet, had activity inside the house, other
No,
than
no. Other than her, no.
yeah,
I have weird dreams, but I always have weird dreams. That's nothing new.
yeah. I think that's part of being human as well. We have weird
Yeah,
dreams. Some dreams,
yeah.
like you sort of can tell is a dream, like,
Hmm.
and you wake up, and you're like, oh, it's just a dream. But then sometimes you have a dream, and it's either a nightmare or it's something positive, whatever it is, but it feels very real. And it's like
Yeah,
that was more than a dream, and you just know, like
yeah.
it can affect you. Like I've had bad dreams that have like affected my whole day, where I'm like
Hmm.
thinking about it, and the feeling that I had in that dream felt so real. I had one this morning. I can't remember what it was, but I woke up and I was like, oh, I'm so happy that was a dream. I
Yeah.
think I lost my phone in my dream. I think that's
My whole
I
life's
do
just
I
gone.
do love my phone though, but
I think we all do. It's
you
probably
need it.
problematic.
You need it for everything now. I have to do
Yeah,
my shopping and everything on it. But
I know.
yeah,
Yeah, I have quite a lot of dreams where I wake up and I know that they're dreams, but I had one last week which was about like witchcraft. And it was so intense. Like I was proper shouting at this demon to like F off and like really getting aggressive in its face, like, leave me alone, get away from me, you can't have me, and all the rest of it.
yeah.
And I was thinking, is that like a demon trying to get to me through my sleep? And I was like proper in my power and being like, no, piss off.
Yeah. Was that like a paralysis or was that in a dream?
I just remembered it. I could honestly, I could have sat there and written a whole movie about that dream. It was
Yeah. See,
that
that's the
like
other weird thing.
realistic.
Yeah. It's like how people describe like near-death experiences where
Mm,
they sort of when they say they pass to the other side, whatever that is, normally they'll say time was irrelevant.
yeah.
And it's like how we perceive time is not how time is in the universe,
Mm,
wherever they go. And it's like that in dreams. Like you
yeah.
can, like I don't know about you, but you can snooze your alarm, and that's like normally 10 minutes, and then you can go into this like deep dream in that ten
Yeah.
minutes that
I
feels
do
like
that all the
3 hours
time.
or longer, and then you
Yeah.
wake up and you're like, how is that 10 minutes? You
I
know?
know, it's crazy. But
Yeah.
I don't particularly think time exists anyway.
That's just
I've
something
never
we've created.
yeah. Yeah. I remember like being a kid and you know when they put you all on the mat and you're like they get the clock out and they're like, this is 1 o'clock, the big hand goes to whatever. And I always remember sitting there being like, why are we learning this? Like this seems a waste of my time. Like let me go enjoy my
Yeah.
life.
Time
Instead,
is
I
irrelevant.
go. She eats more Play-Doh as she goes.
I recently had Tony Rathman on. Going back to what we was
Mhm.
talking about earlier about communicating with the other side, spirits.
Yeah.
He's created this, and I'm going to butcher this now because if you listen to the episode, he explains it very in detail, like how they done it and stuff. But it's basically he's got he's created a technique to talk to spirits using like it's not radio signals because it's just white noise
Mm.
basically. There's no radio signal, so there's no like there can be no interference from anything.
Yeah.
Like there shouldn't be any interference from anything, but he's getting voices coming through, and he's talking to them and he's getting
Wow.
responses, he's getting different voices, and it's getting to the point where he believes that in the future you may be able to like talk to your relatives on the other side through
That's
this.
amazing.
I mean, would you do that? Would you like to do that? Would you? I know
Yeah,
we
I
sort of do
probably
that
would.
anyway with the spirit boxes we use,
Yeah.
but there are like radio signals on there.
Yeah. I had a funny incident with one of those, like actually Tuesday. I always had what was it? I had Ghost Tube Vox on and I had my volume on full and it hadn't said anything for ages, so I'd forgotten that it was even on. And I went into this, we kept hearing like these taps from a cupboard. So I opened the cupboard to see what was in there. And I was like, oh, it's just like a utility room. But they had like a really small other cupboard. And I was like, right, I'm going to have a look in there. And just as I opened the door, the bloody thing in my hand just shouted at me. And I threw my phone up in the air because it scared me so much because I'd forgotten it was on. And I grabbed it and I was like, and everyone else was like, what the hell happened? And I was like, it made a noise and I forgot it was on. That's probably the only time I've actually jumped in an
Yeah,
investigation.
like nervous wrecks, aren't we? Living
Yeah.
experience.
I was like, I didn't realise I was quite that jumpy.
Yeah,
It was
but
just
that
such excellent timing, like pitch black, creepy cupboard. Somebody scream at me.
because I know with these devices that pick up the voices and stuff, they
Mm,
are, it's very interesting because as we say, like coincidences, I don't really believe them anymore. So when you
yeah.
ask a question and you get a response that fits the question, or they say your name or something like that,
Yeah.
even if that is through a radio signal that's coming from a channel somewhere, like what are the chances that it's going to answer
Mm,
your question or know some information that
yeah.
it shouldn't know?
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
sometimes they spout out really weird things. I mean, I've had one say Spanish donkey. Like, what the hell's that mean?
Thanks.
Yeah, I was like, Olay.
Same to you. Yeah.
But other than that, sometimes when you ask it, like, how many people are here, and it says five, and there's five of you,
Yeah. See, I
that's an
mean,
intelligent response, isn't it? It's
yeah,
not a.
yeah.
If it was like chicken, you'd be like, okay, well, that doesn't make sense to what we're saying, but okay, nice try.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
So
mean, I think with those things, you have to sometimes take it for what it is. Um, but they are helpful in the instance where if a medium says something or we ask a question like what year is it and it will say the year,
mhm.
when it backs something up that you're doing with something else, that's when it's helpful.
Yeah, for sure. And it does seem like the entities, whatever you want to call them, can interact with our technology.
Mm,
They can
yeah.
affect our technology. How many times do you hear on paranormal investigations that teams were fully battered up with all their cameras, and then all of a
Mm,
sudden they're all
it's
out,
gone.
they're all
Yeah.
gone, all the energy's gone from the cameras, and you hear that with Bigfoot researchers,
Hmm.
and you hear that with UFO researchers.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's the same kind of experiences, but just different.
Yeah.
They're chasing different phenomenon.
Yeah. I've had brand new, like on my selfie thing, I've had my things fully charged, my little lights that clip on,
Hmm.
and they'll be drained within like a minute. And I'm
Yeah,
like, this is literally brand new. I literally charged them before I came out.
yeah,
And they
and
went on. It's like, yeah, it's weird.
that
But they
shouldn't
obviously
happen.
need the energy, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. So interesting, man. This paranormal stuff is interesting. So
It
since
is.
since you've been doing the show and looking into, I know, as I say, you've always been into this sort of stuff. But
Hmm.
what are some of the experiences that you've heard from other people that sort of stand out to you that maybe freak you out?
See, I'm not entirely sure I get freaked out by anything anymore,
You're
which
braver
is
than me.
horrible. Like I suddenly seem to be a bit braver than I actually thought I ever was. But
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything that I've had that has like really freaked me out, to be honest.
You did an episode on the black-eyed kids.
Yeah, I mean, if one of those turned up at my door,
I
I'd
mean that
I'd literally like kick it and then shut the door.
I think
Not today, Satan.
yeah,
Goodbye.
I think out of all the experiences and things that I've heard, I think if I had to say what is the scariest thing out there, that is right up there, the black eyed
Yeah.
kids. I don't know what it is. I mean, the images you see of these creatures are very scary for a start.
Yeah.
And the
I think they
accounts you
probably would
have,
be it.
yeah, the black eye kids, man. And you never hear the story of if someone let one of them in. Obviously,
Yeah, that's disturbing, isn't it?
normally with the black eye kids, there's two of them. It seems
Hmm.
they knock on the door or knock on. I've heard accounts of people in their car, and they knock on
Yeah,
the car door, and it's always that they want to either a lift somewhere or they want to come in your house because they're lost or something weird
yeah,
like that. Someone was telling me, I can't remember who it was. Because I'm terrible with names anyway, but someone was telling me that their grandmother lived in the middle of Tennessee somewhere, in like the middle of nowhere,
mm.
and one of these creatures knocked on the door like during the night, and they were like
No.
very far away from other houses and stuff, and they just obviously didn't let them in, and I mean I can't think of anything
Do you
that
know
that
what? We heard some running outside our house the other last night, and our house kind of faces like that way, and we've got two houses that face the field that way. And we were like, well, none of them have kids, so why is there like little feet running past the house? And I looked on the Ring doorbell, and there was this kid with like shortish black hair, like running up and down. And I never even like thought, wonder who that is. I sent my husband out to like find out what was going on. I was like, now you've said that, that could have been a black-eyed child, and he could have
oh
just
my
been gone.
god,
And I was like, you go find out.
you need to look back and look at the eyes.
Yeah. I think it was just some other person's child, but
Yeah,
yeah, I think if something like that happened to me, I would be very, yeah, I'd not open the door. Thank
yeah,
God for Ring doorbells. That's all I say, because you can check them out now, can't you, before you open the door
yeah, you'd
and
see
just
it.
shout at them through the thing, like, no.
Go away, I didn't order anything.
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that I find probably the scariest would be when something that would be out of my control, like something that took over my body, maybe.
Yes. Hmm.
So I always put like massive boundaries up, but whether that will not be enough one day, who knows?
Yeah. Have you
But
seen? Because I think was it Mike from
yeah.
New Dawn Paranormal that I'm sure he got taken over at
Oh
one
yeah,
point.
he's a liability.
That's
Every time
I
we
think we
need to
said that on
take a
the
separate
show.
insurance just for him. I mean, bless him. I feel for him, but it's just everything seems to like him, just
Yeah.
likes being
And he
near him.
literally like has been taken over. Where
Yeah,
has he started talking as the entity that's took
yeah,
over?
he does it when he's done it when we were actually in that old pub. He was scrying and he took over by the doctor and was talking like the doctor. And you could see
Wow.
like almost his face change.
Yeah.
It was, yeah,
Interesting.
it
Does
was
he is
proper
he aware
intense.
at the time that he's going through it, or is it like waking up from something after and he's like, what happened?
It's like waking up from something afterwards, because I usually have to like click to try and get him. I always
Wow.
keep my eye on him, and I can always tell when something's about to happen because he proper like zones out,
Yeah.
and I'm like, Mike, Mike.
Would he describe himself as like a medium or anything like that?
um I don't think he would describe himself as one. I think he's definitely got capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Um because he can sense things a lot of the time. But whether it is that he's, you know, got a capability that's bigger than what we think it
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
and that's why. But I mean, for me, if I haven't done scrying, but I know that for me to actually like meditate or tune into something, it takes a lot for me to. I mean, when we were at the place in Leeds, Liam said to me, we were in this tiny like owner's cottage thing, and it was only like two rooms. There were so many of us, and there was so much noise, and I just could not focus on anything. And Liam was like, "Are you sensing anything, Michelle?" I was like, "Liam, I can hardly hear my own bloody thoughts, let alone someone else's." I was like, I cannot tune into anything. I would no way be able to get anything from this room.
Yeah.
I was like, it's just a crowded house, like full of people. That's all I can pick up.
It is weird that some people seem susceptible to be like taken over. Like there
Yeah,
does seem to be like that, like a separate ability where people can, I don't know, but like you, I
yeah.
wouldn't like that at all to not
No,
be in
I
control.
think I'm too in control
Yeah,
when I do things.
yeah. That doesn't seem
No. There was a
nice.
bit in that house actually when a lot of people had left and there was a few of us in there and I was at the bottom of the stairs. The stairs went like that way and then round and then up, and it had a motion sensor and it had kept randomly going off. So we knew it wasn't on a timer because it would go off for like 5 minutes and then suddenly come on again. Um, and we were at the bottom of the stairs and John was recording next to me. He was live on Facebook or something. And he said, "Are you picking up on anything?" And I said, "Well, I just got this image of like kids running up the stairs and like popping their head through the banisters, you know, like they do when they've been told off, or like on Christmas morning or something." And just as I said that, the stair light went on. And I was like, "Oh, maybe they did just run up the stairs then." I was
Wow.
like, "That's a bit weird."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just random little things like that that happen. And you're just like, "Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay."
Yeah. It is wild. This paranormal stuff is wild. Do you remember
Really
watching?
wild.
Do you remember watching Most Haunted?
Yeah.
And Derek Acorah used to get taken over quite a lot,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
used to be like, I mean, I know,
Wild.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, there's some bits where I don't know. When I was younger, I used to have a bit of a like. I really believed it for a while, and then I think it's the same with some like a lot of TV things. That when they go in, it's all very genuine, but in
hmm
the end, producers start taking over.
yeah, you have to get results.
Yeah, and it's be like, well, if we don't get anything happen, you know, no one's going to watch it, and we'll get like the whole show will be cancelled and all the rest of it.
Hmm. Yeah,
But I think there's certain things that, especially in the early days when you watch him, there's no way that he would have wanted to be saying things like that on TV.
yeah, for
Like when
sure,
he's
for
proper like
sure.
swearing and
Yeah,
saying
and
really inappropriate stuff.
I used to be a huge fan of most. I know it gets a bit of flack now, and a lot of people say that.
I loved it.
Yeah, I did, and even just for seeing the locations that they used to go to.
Yeah,
There's
that's the
a
bit that gets me in paranormal
Yeah, seeing the
investigations, the
locations and the
locations.
history,
Hmm.
and obviously old houses are going to make bangs and stuff, but
Yeah.
there's definitely energy there, that is for sure.
Oh
And
yeah.
and I know it gets the show gets a lot of, like all paranormal shows do, because as you
Oh
say,
yeah.
they have to get results for TV, which is why I think a lot of people gravitate to the YouTube stuff and watching
Yeah.
teams like yourself do it live because there's no faking that.
Yeah. I mean, we sometimes sit somewhere for like all night and nothing happens. Like they probably heard a click and then it turned out to be something else.
Hmm.
But, you know, if you got results all the time, you'd start to question whether
Yeah.
you're actually, I suppose, getting any evidence. Because if it was that obvious all the time,
Hmm.
then why isn't everyone seeing it?
Yeah, yeah.
It's very strange.
It
I
is
still think the
strange.
most haunted place in the world still hasn't been existed. I was thinking about this morning. Because you know what, when they think like 30 East Drive's the most haunted place, and then it was like the Ramin's the most haunted place, and then Chilliam's the most haunted castle, and all the rest of it. Transallegheny or Waverly Hills is the most haunted sanitariums. I still think in my head that there is somewhere out there that is the most haunted place ever, but
Yes.
no one's come across it, or it's just got a strong vibe that no one will go near it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's obviously there's a lot of haunted places out there, but you're
Mm,
right. I mean, a lot of these places that get commercialized and that people
yeah.
visit constantly and but you're right, there's a lot of places as well, that unknown places that are
Mm,
probably just as wild. I mean,
yeah.
I'll tell you this. So I was 14 when this happened. So my nan and granddad were looking to buy. They just sold a cottage that we had, which was like a holiday home.
Hmm.
It was in Chichester, lovely little cottage, very old, and that we think that was haunted as well. It was very spooky,
Yeah.
but they it was quite hard to maintain, so they sold it, and they wanted to get another house for us as a family to go to for the weekends and stuff, a little
Hmm.
bit closer by. So they found this house, which was in like middle of the countryside, really quite a big house to be fair, but apparently it was a good price. I
Yeah.
didn't really understand too much about that when I was 14, but
Hmm.
now I do. It was a good price for what it was. And my nan and granddad really liked this house. It was like a Victorian house, very old, very creepy looking. But the whole family went down one Saturday to look at it, just to sort of give our opinion and stuff. And
Mm.
we went down there and we like me and my brother, as soon as we walked in there, we're like looking at each other like, this is weird.
I'm not staying
And
here.
yeah, exactly. And but the whole family, like my mum, my dad, I think my aunt, my uncles all felt it as well.
Yeah.
And there was the estate agent was showing us around, and there was all like these little alleys in the house that like led to nowhere, which is like where the maids apparently used to work and stuff.
Yeah.
It was quite a big house.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, lovely, beautiful house, but just a weird energy. And there was a lady that was living there, and she had a baby with her, and
Hmm.
apparently her husband was a pilot and he wasn't there. He was working. And I remember that my mum saying when we left the house, oh, I feel bad leaving that lady with her baby. Because
Yeah.
that's the vibe that we all got.
Yeah.
And then and granddad were like, oh, this can be the boys' room. And me and my brother were like, we ain't
No
staying in
thanks.
here, no chance.
I'll sleep on the lawn.
But it was a beautiful house, like really, and cool looking place, but just a weird energy. And
Mm.
we all left there saying the same thing. But my nan and granddad were still like very much gonna go forward with buying it. Anyway, that week, like the following week, my granddad was at an event and he was like talking to friends, and I don't know if this was a friend or if it was just someone he was talking to at the event, but they nobody knew about this house. It was literally just the family. And my granddad, he wouldn't, he's not that sort of guy that would be talking about
Yeah.
what he
Not
was
bragging
doing.
or
So
anything.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's never that guy. So nobody knew, and apart from the family. And this man was talking to my granddad, and he said, Ron, I don't know what this means, but I need to tell you this, and I don't know what it means, but Ramsey danger. And my granddad was like, whoa, because the name of the village that the house was in was called Ramsey. And every
Ooh.
time I think about it, it gives me the creeps.
Yeah.
But I mean, so that was enough for my granddad to be like, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
I'm not getting it. And they never went through with it. But I mean, it'd be interesting to know what would have happened
Yeah.
if
What
they had.
was.
But but that house, and that was just like very strange. I've been to a lot of spooky places,
Mm.
but that is right up there with that feeling of negative and
Yeah.
bad energy.
I think you can sense it when you walk into a place, like what it's going to be
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
there's certain places where I'll walk in and I'll be like, oh, I'm not being in here by myself.
Yeah, for sure. And that goes back to listening to your gut as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's time to go. Let's go.
Yeah. It's almost like you walk through the door and there's like a shield, very Star Trek like.
Hmm.
You're like, ooh,
Yeah,
no, not staying.
yeah, yeah.
I'll skip that one.
You've got to listen to that. That's for sure.
Definitely. 100%. Yeah. It's a wild, wild ride.
It is, but we're loving it. And
We are.
we're loving what you're doing. Michelle, thank you so much for
No problem.
coming
Thanks.
back on, and super interesting. Can you tell the listeners where they can find your show?
I am pretty much everywhere. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Shell Spooky Stories. I'm also on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and all that jazz. So you can listen to me on there or watch me and watch my creepy little AI videos on
They're
YouTube as
awesome.
well.
Yeah.
Credit Tom for those. Tom's the genius behind those.
That's
I'm
not
the
me, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, not Tommy. Tom's a very different person.
Yeah. A lot more clever than me.
I think it's a lot more clever than a lot of people.
We've not
He's the
mentioned
genius that brings it together.
we've not mentioned your book.
Oh yes, my
That
book.
was
Yeah,
Tell us
I don't
about
know
your
if you can
book,
see
mate.
it behind me. Actually,
Yeah.
get you a. Well, I'm actually launching something else in the next week as well.
Is that another
So
book?
this is my book, Echoes in the Mist,
Awesome.
which is a little bit about. It's kind of based around me, my mum, my great grandmother, our Scottish heritage, but it's set in the Highlands in the 1970s. It's got a very witchy Celtic vibe about
Wow.
mediumship and spiritual capabilities. So it's on
Interesting.
Amazon if anyone's interested worldwide.
Yeah.
Kindle, paperback. And what I'm launching next week is actually a paranormal investigator's journal.
Yes.
So it's got loads of information in there, like energy work, prayers for protection, prayers for closing, prayers for possession. It's got debunking lists, location hotspots, all sorts of things. I've made it as comprehensive as I can.
Awesome. So would that be good for someone that's maybe just getting into paranormal investigating?
It would be honest anyone, whether you've seasoned or whether you're just getting into it.
Awesome.
It kind of covers all the areas.
Okay. And
It
that's
gives you
dropping.
little reminders. It should hopefully be next week.
Awesome. Awesome. And that'd be
So
on Amazon and
Amazon as well, yeah.
perfect. Perfect.
But if you follow me on social media, you'll see about it.
Yeah. Well, I'll share the links as well beneath the show description. So
Yes, please do.
head down there, click the link, get the books, listen to Shell Spooky Stories because it's absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
It's great to see what you're doing. I love it. I love it. So keep up the
Thanks.
great work. And
I've got
come
lots
back.
coming. I haven't
100%.
finished yet.
Yeah, 100. It's only just begun.
Yeah,
And that's
definitely.
what's cool.
Big
Keep up the
plans.
great work and come back soon.
I will
And
do,
tell us
definitely.
more.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. It's been awesome.
Thank
Guys, thank you so much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, make sure you share it where you can because that is a great way to support us. You can also give us a 5-star review as well for both our podcasts, for Shell Spooky Stories and Let's Get Freaky. If you can give us a 5-star review, that really does help us as well. It gets us out there to more people that enjoy these freaky conversations. So thank you very much. We'll be back very soon for more. In the meantime, stay safe and keep it freaky. Bye for now. Thank you very much, Michelle.
Thank you. Bye.